Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. Please, thank you for watching ABS TV, special TV for the people of Ambazonia and the world at large. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your humble host, Fritz Misodi. This is your show, Face the People. Today we have a lot to talk in the package. Today we have a lot to talk in the package. Please hit your share button, please. We want to start with so many important information for the Ambazonian people and the people of the world. Please hit your share button as you join. If you're watching from Facebook, hit your share button. If you're watching from YouTube, hit your share button. Please, we have some very great panelists today that we're going to be discussing a lot that's happening in the Ambazonian struggle and also in the diplomatic realm. So, ladies and gentlemen, before I begin, I want to introduce to you our humble panelists. Uh, we have SOS Maji. Maji, are you there?
The other people for that special group, they know.
I don't really know anything about that one.
Maji, Maji, if you're on, you can introduce yourself, Maji.
the ship again. And these are the
I think there's some hitches there, so I'm going to introduce the Undersecretary for Home Affairs, Dr. Ngwambe. Dr. Ngwambe, are you on?
Yeah, my DSOS Chairman Fritz. I know it's been a while that we've had an opportunity to be on the ABS platform together, but at the same time, I've also been watching you on your own YouTube channel. I believe it's called the Political Lab, right? Your TV show on YouTube, the Political Lab. I've been enjoying you there a lot lately. So let me make sure I greet our liberation forces back home, all our fellow Ambazonians, where you find yourself in the diaspora or within the borders of Ambazonia or Ground 1 or Ground 2. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you find yourself. Today's going to be a very interesting show. We have a lot of good topics that SOS First, DSOS First has found for us. So I look forward to us sharing ideas, and I also want to make sure I greet my fellow panelists. I believe we're supposed to be here with Maji, my brother Ngyasama Thomas. I want to make sure I greet them also.
Thank you, Dr. Ngwambe. Thank you very much. Honorable Sama Thomas, I know you're ready. If you're ready, please, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, Comrade Fritz, good evening, and thank you for getting me again for this program today. And I salute Dr. Ngwambe uh, and Mama G, where they for say where they say network not the way balance or whatever. Say go put everything over. I always salute them back home where they struggle to make ends meet. We are able to fight the enemy for leave the land and return to say kudos and the whole I'm only so because sooner or later this struggle will surely come to an end. And for those with the diaspora, the few will still get time for will still get the means for the lead to because say no continue to struggle forward. For those reasons, I return and say make them whole heart one day win the land and also live, but make move their hands on the mingle day-to-day of those who they fight because they feel the change which they do for day that's on 2 but they help for those we are people them for the enemy, make it kill them for nothing. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Want to find out if Maji, SOS of Home Affairs. Maji, are you ready?
yes. Can you see me? I'm
Yes.
looking. Okay, I was wondering.
Okay.
When Pastor Man said I'm shaking, I said I'm right here. Mm.
Thank you. So, can you introduce yourself to the audience?
Okay. Greetings, everybody, especially my friends back home. We are with you. I am Margie, the SOS for Home Affairs. And I'm happy to be here to share with you, to talk with you, and see what we can do to bring this war to a close, to an end. So thanks for tuning in.
Thank you, Margie. Thank you very much. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Uh, we are going to start the show with this crazy breaking news uh, about the My Country people. This guy who has gone about creating a new ABS TV fake Facebook page. This is a disclaimer that we are trying to make. There is a Facebook page that this guy MKPD has gone and created. This famous enabler, My Country people. He has created a fake Facebook page. So please, we are here to inform all our followers, all Ambazonians, to be on high alert as they navigate the internet, not to interact with this fake Facebook page, please. Okay, it's created by My Country people. So when you see anything that is not ABS TV, please don't go in there. It's a fake ABS TV page that has been created by My Country people. Okay, the recent one that we know is the latest one that they are announcing about the APLS communication of all, that they ban that transport agencies. So please, this is the work of the sympathizers of the Black Legs. Okay, any one of you who come across this fake information, please know that it's fake. It's not coming from the ABS management. It's not coming from the interim government. So disregard it. Okay, it is not coming from any of this management. Please, thank you very much. Uh, my panelists, I know this did not come, in our agenda, but I want us to talk about the work of these black legs. My country people is known for creating fake pages, both in Facebook and in WhatsApp. So Margie, what do you think about that? When people create this fake page online, they do impersonation, you know, and this is a big offense and even a misdemeanor or felony in America, where you create a fake page and try to impersonate people.
Yes, comrade, this is really sad because we are trying to save our people. We are trying to save lives, and then somebody is messing things up. I do not understand what people aim to gain by doing stuff like this. The majority of the people want to move, want to leave La Republique, and so that we can have our own country, so that the youth can have opportunity. The people who are in the forefront of this war are the youth, are the people who have suffered themselves and continue to suffer. There are people who have education. There are, excuse me, people who have skills that they can use, but they are not able to use them because of the pressure that is in the country, the lack of opportunity. So these are the people who are fighting to get so that we can get our own homeland, and so that things can get better for them. And then people like my country people come in and muddy the water. It doesn't make sense. I do not know what people seek to gain, and it is so sad because people are seeking to gain things for themselves, not for the people, because the majority of the people want separation. So I'm really shocked that up till now there are people who are saboteurs, who are trying to mess things up, instead of helping us to get out of the dark.
Thank you, Margie. This is something that has come up just of recent, and we have seen what they are doing with different Facebook pages. Okay, uh, they account creation alone is not illegal, but when you use something that lead to harassment, fraud, identity theft, okay, anything that you has to do with defamation is a crime. So whatever anybody is doing to go and fake Facebook pages of ABS or the IG, whatever you're doing, you can be charged for that. Okay, Dr. Ngwambe, you have been in the US and you know the laws in the US. When you do something like this is what we call fraud, harassment, or identity theft. What charge can you think can be given to this kind of people?
Some kind of, we need to help ABS. Let me put it this way: we really need to help ABS TV in that when you come across this particular page, report that page. Every Amazonian who is an upright person, who believes in rules-based systems, who likes fairness, who don't like injustice, report that page so that Facebook is aware of what's going on, and they can actually pursue working behind the scenes to make sure that the people who have created that page, will either, how it's done in the past. Now they'll get you to try to show proof of whether you actually have the right to that page or not, but and you have the legal right to be able to use it. And if you can't prove it, then they shut you down. So we really need to help ABS TV and help ourselves, because it's by reporting that page, we're also helping ourselves, because we will help to shut down a page that is actually putting out disinformation and that is also misleading the Amazonian people. I also want to add one other thing. If the people who are behind that Facebook page, they have all the time in the world to be doing what they're doing, and they have all those skills that they're doing, why don't they focus their time and their skills on actually going after the unaccountable and corrupt government of Dictator Biya and the CPDM regime, and hold them accountable so that they actually do what is right for Ambazonia? If you look at MKPD, the gentleman, or I don't know whether to call him a gentleman or not, but the guy who is MKPD, it's not as if he is in UK as let me put it, as an employee of La République du Cameroon and as a La République du Cameroon citizen. He has fled French Cameroon to go and enjoy the benefits of the UK where he's in, but then he's helping the country he fled from, the dictatorship regime, the unaccountable governance system that he fled from, to do bad things against his people, to continue to misrule his people, to continue to misguide his people. I don't really understand the logic for it, but I think it falls in line with what Maji, actually not even I know it falls in line with what Maji has said. These are corrupt people who are selfish. They don't look at the benefit of the greater good, and they are standing on the wrong side of history. The counterparts of this person who is doing that, look at what is going on in the different countries in the Sahel right now, where people are standing up against the mischief and the bad governance of the countries that they're living in. And then this guy is doing what he's doing. He's focusing his attention on the wrong thing. Use your energy, your time, your expertise to help fix your country, which you fled away from. That's what he should be doing.
Thank you, Dr. Ngwambe. Honorable Sama Thomas, it is well known that these fraudsters use fake Facebook account to connect with users and their friends, in order to obtain personal information for the purpose of identity theft. These fake account holders are also they can contact you anywhere. You have been victim of these fake accounts, Sama Thomas. I remember when your WhatsApp was hacked and your phone was hacked and all these things. Do you think that these guys are really doing good to themselves?
Doing anything good to themselves? I think that Mr. MAPD, you recall him, Titus Mkonda, will not be in the UK. He will be in La Republic. Maybe they could have taken the post of Atanganji and given to him as the Minister of Territorial Administration. But unfortunately, he is doing what he's doing while sitting elsewhere in Europe, and he's not ready at any point in time to go back to La Republic, for he knows he cannot even survive there for 1 year. But the question one asks this type of people is, all these things that they are doing, are they conscious of themselves? If the tables are turned tomorrow, is Mr. MKPG or Titus Koda going to come back to the land of his birth, or he will remain on exile with his entire family for none of them never to come back home because they've already condemned themselves as such never to come back home? The people that will regret the more are not even Mr. Titus Koda, but the likes of Clovis and Nasri, or they call him who, they are still in the den. They should know that all those things that they are doing, thinking that they are doing anything good to themselves, that's a disfavor that they are making to them own selves for when this thing will be over tomorrow. I want to tell Clovis and Nasri and his band of idiots that they should be reading the diplomatic language or handwriting on the wall and be following the train of events, that the tables are fast turning against them. For we do not know if tomorrow we will even meet them where they are still and La Republique without them running out of southern Cameroons. But do they think that La Republique will run out in Cameroons? While they too will join La Republique to run out, La Republique will behave like President Suharto of Indonesia. They will push all of them back across the Mungo. Go and meet your brothers. What do they think if that statement comes? Go and meet your brother. Will they be able to go and meet their brothers, or they will commit suicide? They should choose what they will do when that moment comes. Either to commit suicide or to go and meet their brothers. Uh,
Thank you very much. We're going to move to the next important topic, very important for the struggle, the Independence Day celebration. We know people will gather and celebrate our Independence Day in all parts of the world. We are trying to make sure that this is a global event, the 1st of October. So, ladies and gentlemen, we want you to know, if you are in any country, any city that you are, Amazonians, please be prepared to march in your own city or your own town, your own country. If you're in America, we want to make a grand rally in Washington, D.C. So please remember, this rally will be one of its kind because it's a memorabilia. We want the world to know that we are Amazonians and we are proud to be Amazonians. So please know that this same uh, unity march is for collaboration purpose. It has so many purposes that we are gathering in Washington, D.C. and the world. Uh, Margie, you have seen the past Independence Day celebration where people gather and celebrate our Independence Day. You know, I know we are trying to make sure this time the the theme of this march will be collaboration and unity. It's a product of trust and mutual understanding through confidence building. So, what do you think about this march on the 1st of October, our Independence Day?
Well, since our president, Comrade Chris, took over, his mantra, his marching orders has been collaboration, collaboration, collaboration. There are many people now calling for collaboration. When the African summit held in Washington, D.C., many people came there and everybody left their coat, let me call it coat, at home and just came as Amazonians. Everybody came not thinking that they are from this group or from that group, and they came and they marched. And that went very well. And from that, a lot of other things have snowballed. People have shown their eagerness to collaborate. So that's very good. So this is what is going to happen this time, that that feeling has really increased, that people are really interested now, that at this time we are seeing the end of the line. We are seeing that there's a possibility for us to have our independence. So people crave that attention. And I think this one is going to be very big. You know, many people will come because people are hearing us. There are changes taking place in other countries in Africa, and we want to be one of those that are going to have a change. We want that change to be part of that. We should be part of that change. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ngwambe. You have been in the past March past the 1st of October rallies, and you understand the meaning of that. Do you think that we have other meaning or other theme that we can use? We have this year, we are talking of unity, collaboration, and a mutual understanding through confidence building. Dr. Ngwambe.
Okay, yeah, yeah, we're waiting to be sure that you are done with the question. So yeah, I mean, this, you know, as Maji correctly pointed out, there has been a long call for Ambazonians to try to find a way to work together and to collaborate. I mean, as you even see in the pictures here and previous rallies that we had before, where Amazonians came together and that spirit of togetherness was so infectious. Over the past year in particular, the temperature has really been hot about getting back towards that spirit. So this opportunity that's coming up for October 1st is an excellent opportunity for all pro-independence minded Amazonians to try to find a way to come together and celebrate our Independence Day. I mean, as a matter of fact, I mean, bro, you see, we for US now, when you see Republicans and Democrats, even though they get their own different kind of ideology, when July 1st comes on, they celebrate their in the American Independence Day together. You know,
Yeah, together.
they put aside that Republican mindset,
Differences.
that Democratic mindset, and they rally and showed the whole world that we are all still Americans. So this is the same opportunity that we Amazonians are having. Yes, we may have different ideologies or different approaches of how we want to get to Boya, but we're at the end of the day, we believe in the sovereign independence of Amazonia, and that's what we're going to work towards. In addition to this independence rally that is going to be that's going to be held all across the world. I mean, there's many other things you can do. Reach out to your people back home. Uh, help them celebrate, of course, quietly within it doesn't necessarily have to be too much fanfare. We know that the liberation forces they will be conducting their own ceremony. So if anywhere there's fundraising for that, make sure that you've contributed towards that, and let's just make sure we show the world that we are together. We're not going anywhere, and we're still committed to delivering a homeland that is led by Ambazonians and for Ambazonians.
Yes. Comrade Sama Thomas, you have been at the forefront at the Restoration Council to see that there is unity, there is collaboration, there is that trust among each other. Do you think this match, will galvanize that ideology?
Well, Southern Cameroonians that have made themselves to be in the business of insulting each other for the past 7 years, I don't know what they've achieved in all those things. It is time for us to eat that we haven't achieved anything in fighting ourselves, but rather we need to come together and talk to one another and reconcile our differences, if at all there is any differences. Because I don't see why we are fighting. We cannot be talking about going to Boya and we are standing at a certain point insulting each other or punching each other. It makes no sense to me so far as I'm concerned. So the only thing I can say is that, like my friend Nelson Ochemba is saying that I'm living under the bridge, but let me seize this opportunity to invite all Southern Cameroonians in Belgium that the bridge that I'm living under, at least I have a space in under that bridge that can take at least 50 persons. They should come to my space under that my bridge where I am in Belgium, in Antwerpen, in Nil, close to Boom on the 1st of October for us to commemorate that day and remember our fallen heroes and celebrate that day, which was designed to us by the international community. If we do not celebrate it, nobody will help celebrate it for us. Join me in my residence or under my bridge, as Nelson Ochiba is saying, for us to celebrate that day. Maybe some people will get the pictures of that day to show Nelson Ochemba exactly the bridge that I am living under, and let him judge himself if it is really under the bridge.
Thank you, Honorable. Thank you for that one. Uh, I I know we have a lot to talk today, but let's talk about this issue in Kumba One Council. We know Kumba has three council. The Kumba One Council workers were on strike. You know that they have not been paid for almost 9 months. So we don't know what is really going on in these various councils. That mayor there was not even elected; he was appointed. Okay, we did not have mayor election in Ambazonia, so any mayor wasn't elected. They were just appointed. But now we have problem with people who haven't got paid for 9 months, and we saw that strike of the Kumba Council. Uh, Comrade Sama Thomas, let me just start you because uh, you are here. What is going on in these councils? I don't know. What are they really waiting for? You know, some of these people earn almost 2 million, but they cannot pay workers who are earning 50,000. What's going on?
Well, comrade friend, what is going on? For me to tell what is going on, okay, I will try to tell you what is going on in the Southern Cameroons and Cuba as a you know, all councils in the Southern Cameroons are supposed to raise funds to clean their council area uh, and also pay their workers. But because of the present uh, crisis or war that is going on in the Southern Cameroons, these intruders have no right to be raising funds or collecting taxes in the Southern Cameroons, which FECOM that appointed them from La Republique to be mayors and impose them on the people was supposed to be given what they call budget allocation. But the budget allocation that FECOM is given, if at all there is any, they are given to their so-called who are stationed all over Southern Cameroons to run. So what has the Joe gotten to steal before putting aside something for the councils to pay their workers with or clean the city area with? So there is no means for these people to pay their workers because the money given by FECOM is in the hands and control of the Joe, while the so-called intruders who call themselves mayors cannot raise money from taxes and there's a so-called market tickets that they collect 100 francs from vendors or buy and sellers. So the whole system is broken. The leader that is coming in, the guy is seated there, appointed by Yawude as mayor, is struggling but to see how he can fill his pocket. So he does not care whether the soak in the council that needs to pay. It now depends who claims to be a worker in that council to say, okay, enough of this shit. How can I be working under an institution for 9 months and I'm receiving no salary? Keep on working. How were these people surviving? It therefore means they were all thieves. If you were not stealing what was coming in the little that was tripping in, if you were not stealing that money, you would not keep on going to work of which you are not being paid. So how will you pay your bills or feeding yourself? They are all thieves and needs to be getting rid of if the means is there. If there is nobody in the Southern Cameroon who is supposed to keep working under the canopy of any so-called council controlled by a mayor. If you are doing that, you are an enabler and should be treated as an enabler.
No doubt. Thank you, comrade. No doubt, corruption no go finish for that country called La Republic. That country now really corrupt country. I don't feel understand why for 9 months they never pay workers. Comrade, Dr. Gwambe, I don't know. We hear that FECOM is supposed to give some money to these workers, even though there's crisis going on. So I don't know what is the problem. Why don't they just close the whole council and just open a business there if they cannot pay workers?
Well, that's actually a real good suggestion. But we know our people back home. Our people back home are very resilient people, and they've known how this regime is. And because they know how this regime is, I know many of the workers there have side hustles to bring in something. I know it may not end up being as enough to cover some of their major expenses, but some small side income is coming in. But ultimately, for me and Amazonians who are watching and the international community is watching, this is just another example of the cacophony and the banana republic, or as what is this guy? This guy that calls the CPM government, the kangaroo government. Now it just continues to show the kind of failed system that Amazonians are trying to escape from. How is La Republique du Cameroon wasting money on a war to keep people enslaved, right? They're wasting money trying to keep people enslaved. And because of that, wasting that money on a useless war, that's why there's no money to pay these workers. What I would like to see is if all the workers within the territory, they joined together, showed solidarity with one another, and went on strike, and really ground the government of Dictator Biya to sit up and pay attention, and actually even hopefully push him to take the negotiation process seriously, because there's no way we are going to get to a steady state situation where these are comrades, these are brothers and sisters back home, can be able to work in a peaceful environment while there's a conflict going on. So all the workers, all the council workers nationwide within the borders of Amazonia need to go on strike and show solidarity with one another. That's one of the ways I think that they can find a way to bring this particular situation to on both ends, whether it's being paid and the end to the war. That's what they can do as their own portion to make this thing come to a useful end. That's my opinion on this particular matter.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Ngwambe. We have 3 councils in Kumba. We have Kumba 1, Kumba 2, Kumba 3. Kumba 1 controls the main market and everything that is in that main market, going right down to the bank, the SEC bank. Then Kumba 2 controls from the bridge, controls the Fiango market and all those, Then Kumba 3 now controls all the down 3-corner Fiango and all the, even Boyaro Park is controlled by Kumba 3. But a lot of money comes from all these institutions. A lot of money comes from the market. A lot of money comes from even the Guineas and Brazzaville there. All those people pay a lot of money. So, Maji, what do you think is going on that councils cannot even pay their workers now?
Well, the issue is not that councils cannot, is that they don't want to. There's a lot of stealing going on in Cameroon. It's a system where when you're given a position, you feel that it's your opportunity to chop, to eat, and they just take the money and share with their friends, their families, and act with impunity because nobody can ask you. If our mayors were answerable to us, if our mayors were voted by us, they will be answerable to us. They will do the straight and right thing. But the fact that somebody else appoints them and they sit there, they act with impunity because they feel that nobody can do anything to them, that they are on the top of the mountain and they can do whatever. Nobody in Kumba knows them, nobody appointed them, nobody can remove them, therefore. And so they use this opportunity to enrich themselves. The sad truth is There's a lot of thievery going on in Ambazonia, in Cameroon, or for La Republic system. And it is so sad because you don't see where the money goes to. One person will steal so much, and you see them, they don't look like they have any money. They don't even have a decent house. They cannot help their own people. Why they are stealing this money is just to show that people see them, that they're important. They can go somewhere and drink and give drinks to their friend and show off and have 100 people that they can give money to. They want people to look at them, not what they are doing, at them as individuals. If you are there, you're working for the people. It's not for you to be noticed. But a lot of these people work for themselves so that they should be noticed. They go around collecting money. This council worker risk their lives, go about collecting money to help the council, to keep the city clean, to do the things, to make sure there's water supply. There are lots of things that the council does to help repair the small roads and all those things, and nothing is being done. So there's really no point for them to be collecting money. Then, to make it even worse, the people who are sitting there doing the work are not being paid. I just don't understand this system. We have to come back to our own West Cameroon system, where the mayor or whoever is leading the city or so is appointed, is voted by the people, and is accountable to the people. So all these things are just showing um, the need for reform, the need for clearing out all these people and ushering in people who can really feel for the people and do things for the people.
Thank you. Let's move to this important topic of this one of a very powerful soldier in Meme, uh, FM Bitakola, who passed away. We have seen so many generals that have lost their lives just because of little mistakes. I want to call on Honorable Sama Thomas, who has been in this struggle and knows a lot of what is going on and what must have prevented this kind of terrible loss. That most of the generals that are being killed are not even killed by a lot of big soldiers. You know, they're just being killed by little mistakes that these guys are making. What kind of lesson can this can you give to these freedom fighters back home?
Mm.
You cannot be fighting your enemy and you think you can live your life just as any other person in that society is living his life. There was a time in Macon that you could not greet me from behind and I answer you. I must see you in front of me before I can respond to anything that anybody is saying. Our boys who are on the ground fighting seems not to know what they are doing. You cannot be a fighter and at the same time you mingle yourself among the civilian population every now and then. You even have to be skeptical with your own mother if you are a fighter in the bush. Trust no one but yourself. But for the simple fact that our people are fighting, they trust just everybody around the corner, thinking that they are doing anything good for themselves. That is how they are exposed to the enemy, and unfortunately, they are learning nothing for the past seven years. Had it been they were learning something, they would not be doing what they are doing. Their phones again are a problem. The people they come with as a fighter in the bush, your telephone number must not be given to just everybody in the community. Your mother, if your mother really wants to reach out to you or your father, there should be a second party or a third party that your mother must use to reach you. Your mother must not have your telephone number. For that's the easy means for the system in place to waylay your mother, to kidnap your mother, and force her to give your number to them. And once they give your number, you are killed. Secondly, they must avoid, whether they eat or not, you cannot be fighting in the bush and somebody seated in Kondengi is having your telephone number. And you guys are holding conference calls from Kondengi. What are you people discussing? You who is fighting in the bush and you are discussing with somebody in Kondengi. Do you know the situation that that person was sitting in before discussing with you? Do you know who was beside him? Do you think he was not under Durex to call you? And if he calls you, do you think the person that forced him to call you is not in possession of your telephone number? And do you think the time that they are even coming to get you is that person in Kondengi, not on the line discussing with you? When they use that method to know exactly where you are to come and get you, for our people to be served, they must, as a matter of fact, cut off all communication with anybody from Kondengi. Then I got a message for those in Kondengi. If they think that what they are doing in Kondengi, by exposing their liberators, I will put it clear now, their liberators, to be killed by the enemy, they are only prolonging their time in Kondengi. They are not only prolonging their time in, but they will remain in Kondengi and die all in Kondengi. For that is what they have chosen. They should remove their hands off completely this war. Do not communicate with combatants in the bush. They will free them. We will free the land and also free them in Kondengi. But if they think they will keep on doing what they are doing, sorry for them. They are in for a long walk, not even to freedom, but a walk that will end them up in their graves.
Thank you, Honorable. Thank you very much. Dr. Ngwambe, you know about this issue of phone tracking, how soldiers are being tracked through their phones. Honorable Sama Thomas made mention about that. And most of the time, they have their phones, they don't change the numbers, they have the same numbers, and they are being tracked. And now we hear that they are discussing with the guys in Kondengi. Do you think that's a good idea for them to be communicating with the people in Kondengi when we know that they are in the dense camp?
So let me first start off by extending my condolences to the Amazonian family, to FM Bitacola's family, those he left behind, and his soldiers who he had been working with. I read one write-up about where someone kind of detailed the history of some of the things he had done, and it looks like that he was a really good fighter. So it's an unfortunate loss. It is really an unfortunate loss. So we really want to thank him for serving our country, and for making it possible for us to be able to have an Amazonian nation. I really want to make sure that we appreciate him for that, because I know all of us appreciate him for that. Now, this issue of fighters outside communicating with people within Kondengi, whether they're former fighters or whatever they're doing. My fellow Amazonians, may we check sense. Our brothers who end up being captured, right, and end up at the DDR center, La Republic uses them to identify where the camps of their brothers who are still in the bush are, right? Until the point they even take some of them who have surrendered to the DDR centers and equips them and takes them to the bush so they can point out where the bases are. That's what La République du Cameroon is doing with DDR fighters. I remember late General A4 of 7 Qatar Bafut when he was captured in in that Santa Western Province axis, right? And La Republic of Cameroon used his telephone that had some other fighters in Bafut to fool those fighters in Bafut, where they're pretending that A4 was not yet captured, and let those fighters let their guard down. And then French Cameroon was able to get to Bafut and eliminate several of our brave heroes in Bafut. These are the tactics of French Cameroon, and these are the correct tactics of anyone who really wants to win a war. Now, if you are in Koningi, knowing that La Republic is doing all these things, and you think that La Republic is not monitoring the conversations that you are having, and then there are people who are fighters on the outside and they're having conversations with you, I beg my people to check sense. May we check sense. It doesn't make any damn sense to be doing that. If you want to be free, right? I know those are in, you're in jail, you have a lot of time on your hands, you want to keep yourself busy. You may be thinking that those of us out here were mess people, and that maybe you are the one who can do everything that is correct. Okay, that's fine, but look at some of the things. Take into consideration the security compromised situation that you are in, and how that is exposing our brothers and sisters. And the best advice I can give for you all in Koningi who are engaged in this particular tactic is to stand down. I beg, stand down. Right? I mean, like even with the way this our brother Bitakola went down, my fellow Amazonians. Those of you who know who Joseph Kony is, I don't know if Comrade Fritz, Margaret and Gassama, if you all remember Joseph Kony. Joseph Kony was the head of, I think, was it the Lord's Resistance Army, LR, or something like that. This rebel group that was fighting in Uganda, right? Fighting in Uganda. That guy has been on the run for 20, 30 years in the bush. Uganda can still not capture him. Why is that? Is it because he's going home and sleeping in his family compound in Uganda? Or is it because he's still in the bush and he does not remain in one place as he's in that bush? He may sleep in a particular area. Once, it's enough, he completely jumps and he goes somewhere else. They are staying on the move. That is guerrilla warfare. And then worst of all now, if you are going to be doing some of the things that in this guerrilla warfare, part of the guerrilla warfare is even hiding your face and not necessarily speaking so much. Unfortunately, our brother Bitakola, he ended up being the face of this APLC organization. So in addition to a huge target being on his back because he was a general, a huge target ended up being on his back because he was the face of a particular movement. We have to be learning from some of these things that we're experiencing in this liberation struggle that is attracting attention to our fighters and finding a way to minimize them. Look at these, our brothers who are even on the screen now. I know you guys are very brave. I'm very proud of you. We Azunians are forever in your debt. But you all should have covered your face. You all should have covered your face. Even the people who you all sent these videos to. The video editing technology that can cover your faces is not expensive. Why are these people who are releasing these videos not shielding the faces of these our brothers? I mean, there's a whole lot of security errors and failures and breakdown that is going on in this liberation struggle that to me it makes absolutely no sense that up to 6-7 years of the experience that people have gained in this thing, that these same mistakes continue to go on and on and on and on and on. My fellow Amazonians, may we check sense. Now the best advice that way I figure, may we check sense and improve on some of these things that we know are messing us up. Thank you.
Yeah, from sources, we hear that FM Bitakola might have been betrayed by some sponsors. Since the demise of FM Bitakola, we have seen all fighters in Ground Zero trying to collaborate more and more and more. But on the other hand, some people said collaboration among the fighters under the APLC has caused the life of some significant fighters. Uh, Maji, you have been a very renowned person in this fight, and you know a lot of the strategies. I don't know what was really uh, the the measure that could have been taken to avoid this kind of situation. We know a lot of fighters have passed away through this little mistake that they make. We don't know what was the cause. We hear of this phone tracking thing might have been the cause.
Yeah, there are so many things. Let me start by saying, on behalf of the mothers of Ambazonia, we feel that we sympathize with the families of all our fallen heroes. It's not just FM Bitakola, it's even the faceless one who, even if his job is just to carry water and give the fighters, we sympathize when anybody goes down, because these are people who are fighting for us to be liberated, so that we can have a country of our own. We are hoping that these people will also enjoy this country. They cannot be fighting and dying, and we are here just looking. So, on behalf of the mothers of Amazonia, I really sympathize with all this. Now, the problem is this. Let's talk about the people in Kondingi. Let's start from the first people who were picked up, the Naira 10. When they picked them up, it's because La Republique could not hear what they were saying. It is because they feel like if they catch them, the war will come to an end, because they will not have way to communicate with us. And then, if that is the reason why they've been caught and kept, you understand that there's no way where La Republique will put you guys in a place that you have freedom of speech, where you'll be talking to your people, because everything you say, it might be something important for them. They thought,
Exactly.
like we were saying, that they thought that they had cut the head of the snake. They thought that by getting this Naira 10, they had crushed the war. And so they have to be able to understand what is happening, why the war is still going on, what it is that, what communication they have with us. Now, and since then, they have caught more people are in jail, they're locked up. And these people are in, they think that they can help us. When you're in jail, you don't have a 360 view of things. You have only a pinhole. You The first thing is that you're talking only to the people that you know, those who are your friends, and you're not talking to those who are your enemies. Those of us who are out here, we get a lot of information, whether they are friends or foe, or people who are trying to betray, or people who are trying to help us. We get all that, all those information, and we can filter them and then use what we think is right. But now, when you have somebody who is locked up, and the person talks only to a limited number of people, their information is limited also. There's no way that they can really tell you what is happening outside. There's no way that they can come up with a strategy that will work. So people have to know this thing. Let us stop relying on people who cannot help us. If La Republique put them in jail because they wanted to cut their legs, you know that La Republique is listening to everything they say. I have said it, and I said it right from the beginning. Our people who are in jail, when they move, La Republique knows they move. When they are sleeping, La Republique knows they are sleeping. If they move a finger, then there are people, there are cameras. You may not see them, you may think you are an expert. These people prepare the particular place that they are going to put our people. So whatever our people do is being watched, is being they're observing. They have 24-hour observation rooms that they are watching everything they say, that they are listening. In this country, we know when you go to talk to somebody in jail, they always tell you, you know, everything that you're saying is listened to, and then they bring out the tape and say this is what you said to somebody outside. Why do you think that the international partners, the people that La Republic has, the people who want them to continue, why do you think those people have not given people this information or these devices? I just don't understand the carelessness, the way people do not think. La Republic cannot let these people in jail sit there and be talking. Even the walls have things, listening devices. So I don't know why we are talking to people in jail. And then the next thing is the boys, for some reason, they want to be noticed. They want to say, I did this. When you do things, we know, we hear your name. What does it matter if tomorrow we win this war and you are not recognized, you are still alive? Is that not something? You're not fighting for recognition, you're fighting for the war to come to an end. So please, some of these children are so immature. They come and stand and talk and show their faces, and it is so easy to track them down. And then we know that so many of our children have gone to this DDR, and those people, they bring those pictures and show them all the videos and pictures and show them who comes from Kumba. You say, me, come and see. Who is this? Do you know where this person is? So we are selling ourselves. Our boys are selling themselves. Our boys are saying, we have come up with different methods of telling people what to do with their phone. I'm not going to say some of those things that we came up with. I'm going to say it to our groups and see if they can use it, or if they work, so that we are not selling ourselves all our information. That all these phone things, people talk and talk. We've told people, don't stay in one area for too long. Keep moving, keep changing, going around. It is so sad. It is so sad. But La Republic thinks that by killing our leaders, the war will end. No, we have children who are growing up and picking the baton and running. It's a relay match. If you kill the head, the babies will come up. We are going to fight until we get to Boya. Thank you.
Thank you, Margie. That was very explicit. I hope some of the freedom fighters are listening and they are taking notes, because in any kind of situation like this, there must be intelligence. There must be. We have seen one of our own trying to say that he is an expert in phone tracking, Amber News Line. So some people are criticizing him that he's not an expert, but we need more expert in that domain, because we can't say he is not good, but we need people who can help in that domain for phone tracking, for intelligence, for all those things. That's a work of, we need people in any domain that you are an expert to help. That's all we need. We should stop criticizing people who are trying to do something for the struggle. If you know that you have an idea, and you know that you can help, come on. you know uh let's talk about this, because we have seen that the APLC declared the a ban on this urban transportation, and it has caused a lot of controversy when it comes to how many days should there be a lockdown, and how many weeks, and how the preparation towards that lockdown should be imposed. Sometimes there is lack of education and communication to the people in ground zero. They don't know why they are locking down. They don't understand the dynamics. They don't understand the benefit of that lockdown to the struggle. So, but I'm very grateful with some soldiers who and some generals who are very good at sensitization of the local population. Dr. Ngwambe, you saw the 2-week lockdown. I want to congratulate the Amazonian people. What do you think about that lockdown? That trying to make sure that they respect the school reopening.
So you know, this conversation it can be a bit complicated, but this is what I'll say. When it comes to lockdowns, right? Those who want to call lockdowns should find a way to have conversations with the various stakeholders that are involved in this liberation struggle, so you can have a broad-based consultation. I mean, I know my big mama Maji knows a lot about consultation because she's been working on a consultation team. But those who are calling these lockdowns, they need to make sure they have broad-based consultation to take in the various inputs of the stakeholders that are actively engaged in this liberation struggle, so that they are making a decision that is in the best interest of this struggle. Because one of the things that we need to take into consideration is what our people back home are going through. Granted, in a war, especially destructive wars, a lot of people are displaced. There are very few people who are still left in the community, so movement is very limited, right? But at least in that case, that is because of the hot nature of the conflict. It is, to me, it's a bit worse the people to you that you are the person who is forcing them to be indoors because you have said you must remain indoors. Where if you would have just had the environment hot, the people would just be indoors because they understand that the environment is hot, and they can't blame you specifically for why they are stuck inside. They can't go and make money for them to be able to feed their families. They can't make money for them to be able to send their children to school, etc., etc. That's really my biggest challenge with some of these lockdowns. Now, specifically with regards to the this school back to school situation, right? Ambazonians, pro-independence minded Ambazonians, are not against school. What we are against is La République du Cameroon indoctrination. The stance of this IG is that yes to community schools, yes to private schools, but no to La République du Cameroon government schools that teach Ambazonians to hate themselves, teach Ambazonians to be subservient to Cameroonians, and which also teach Ambazonians to not be productive citizens that can compete in the international job market. Yeah. That's what we're against. We're against that kind of indoctrination. We are not against schools. Yeah. You understand? So if you have that in mind, for me, just my opinion, if you want to do anything that helps support that mindset, that narrative, that policy, which is the policy of most, if not all, of the liberation movements, that yes to community schools, yes to private schools, no to La République du Cameroon government schools. If you want to do any self-defense activity that supports that universally adopted policy, what you would do is focus specifically on the La République du Cameroon schools. You don't punish everybody. It's like you at work, Comrade Fritz. You have one employee who is always late to work. Yeah. One employee who doesn't do their job. The manager comes into the department where all of us are there, and they punish all of us. Yeah. That because since you're showing up late to work, this one person is showing up late to work, everybody is going to get sanctioned, instead of punishing that specific employee who is doing the bad job. When you focus on the person who is actually doing the bad job, everybody else, they will see the kind of punishment that person gets, and then they will adjust. That's how we're supposed to me, again, that's my opinion, that's how I think we're supposed to be approaching this thing, by specifically focusing on those people who are violating the issue, not punishing everybody. Because when you punish everybody, at some point you begin to turn people who are the people who are sympathetic to our plight, the people who are sympathetic to our fighters, you turn them against us. And that is my biggest issue with some of these lockdowns. I don't want to turn the people against this very righteous liberation struggle. I really don't. So the people who are
That's a
calling these,
good
they need
point.
to make sure that they are taking that thing into consideration as opposed to this bluster that, oh, now we get the gun them, so we'll tell the people they're waiting to give for. Okay, the black legs keep increasing, right? Our brother FM Bitakola, he went down, most likely because of a black leg who saw him sneak back into his compound, wherever he was, and then they reported him, right? And where's that stuff
Yes.
coming from? Because of certain things that are turning the population against the public and also greediness. We'll also accept that there's some greediness and people who don't believe in an Ambazonia. We accept that that is there too. But at the same time, with La Republic sneaking in, if there would have been a really excellent relationship with the community, as La Republic was sneaking in to encircle him, people who are sympathetic to our cause would have noticed and they would have alerted him, and he would have, and God willing, he would have been able to get away. So it's just some of these things that we really need to be thinking deep about them. And the only way you will think deep about them is if you do broad-based consultation, because one of the other issues that we ambazoin from is groupthink. When you end up in an environment where it's just people thinking like you and all that stuff like that, and then you all just end up repeating the same things that each other is saying, where if you would have brought people in from different other organizations, they would say, hey, did you think about this? Did you also think about this? What about this? And then you talk it through and you come out with a good policy. I'm done.
Yes.
Sorry for the.
Thank you, Dr. Mwambe. It is very, very critical that the fighters are listening to us, because there's a lot of misguided information that led these fighters to make certain decisions, and we see them, all these bad decisions. They are inflicting a lot of suffering on the Amazonian people. So we are trying to call on the fighters to know that any decision that they are making should be in favor of the local population. They should not. This ban, I think, Comrade Sama Thomas know most of these agencies like Guarantee and Amu Mezam and all these agencies that have been banned. And they said it's till further notice. When you ban something, you say till further notice. It's very bad. You would have put a timeline that from this time to this time, maybe a week. That's good and fine. Comrade Sama Thomas.
Yeah, Comrade Fred, thank you for that question. They could have put a timeline, but still, I do not see the reason of this ban, because there was lack of common sense in pinpointing some certain agencies that you ban them from their activities. Those agencies that you ban them from their activities, where did you push the other agencies that you did not ban their activities to? The same situation that you placed those that you ban their activities is the same situation that you placed those that were to be circulating. What they did was that a lot of people will now say, those agencies that are not banned are the agencies that are collaborating with you guys. Was there any sense in this nonsense? And again, I would really want to advise to all the agencies on the ground that please, when these type of things happen, they should come together, even call some of us to see how we can mediate and find a solution to this situation so as to avoid some mishaps that might take place along the way. For if Amomezam or Vatican Express load a 70-seater bus and is going to Bafusam, and that bus is attacked on the way, passengers are killed, is there any need for such a risk to be taken? Then to passengers who are going to board these agencies, please take your security into your own hands, for you are placing yourself into harm's way. We condemn the ban, but still individuals should take their security into their own hands and keep themselves away from harm's way. That's the only thing I can say. But this reckless act of we ban this, we do this, makes no sense. We must not in our actions implicate people that are not supposed to be implicated in any way possible. Then let me just run something here about the helicopter that Amber Newsline was running their mouth, how a bullet had brought down a helicopter in Mankot or in Akum. A bullet cannot bring down a helicopter. Helicopters are designed in such a way that you cannot bring it down with an AK-47 bullet. That helicopter was by thunder. You cannot bring down a helicopter with a bullet. So they should stop fooling people and making people look like idiots.
Thank you, comrade. Uh, I think it's very important for us to talk about this.
Hello.
You saw the kill the issue of the ban of a travel agency and all this ban, which is a very bad decision because it makes the whole population suffer. It's not like you're banning two agencies that has done something that we can recognize. I remember the ban on Amumezam that did something. Maybe they brought some people to come and vote last time. That was very, very okay. But this time around, banning all these almost seven of these travel agencies that we all know is not really fair for the local population. Margie, what's your take on this?
Well, as most people know, I have been the chairperson of a local government. I've been a chairperson of a county. And during that period of time, when we were going to have a lockdown, we all met with the government. All the chair people met and discussed, especially the region which was concerned, or if it was a national thing, all the chairs or the county chairs meet and discuss. And we look at things like, no, we cannot have it on this day because it's a Muslim holiday. No, we cannot have it this day because it's a main this day or main that. And most of the time we give ample notice. We tell people it's going to happen, so people prepare themselves. Now the problem here is the people on the ground used to complain that we are doing it without consultation. Now APLM or LL or whatever it's called, they have
PC.
taken over, that they want to make the decision. But they themselves are not doing what they criticize us for not doing. They are not consulting. They are not giving people time. I'm going to say something which will be a bit controversial, but controversy is what makes people think and say. When this war started, remember that we brought down a lot of La Republique because we were doing unorthodox things. Our boys cut trees and blocked the road, and they came. We picked them out. We did. We laid ambush. We cut down bridges and things. And then people cried. No, but it was very, very successful. Remember when they were carrying their people in pickup trucks? But then we keep saying our people are suffering, our people are suffering. I feel, I'm not saying that we should be having lockdown every day. There should be strategic planning. We should plan, and we know what we want to gain at this time, which is what happened. Some of the major things that happened during this period. And so when we tell our people we are going to lock down for a week or for 10 days or for 3 days or what, it is because we have planned a mission and people are ready. We keep saying our people are suffering. Is it okay for our people to be suffering drip, 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 day in, day out for 10 years, or for us to really make ourselves uncomfortable for a short period of time and do something strategic? That's how we have to think. If we can come up with some strategic plans and know the things that we want to do and plan things that will really hurt, and we take care of it one time, our people are uncomfortable for a short period of time, and then they regroup. Instead of saying, no, we cannot bring down this bridge because this bridge links this from this, but this is the bridge that brings people in to kill us. No, we cannot do everything that you want to touch. There's somebody saying, no, no, no. Okay, we want to be comfortable and we want to win the war. It doesn't work that way. I have been in this war from the beginning. I have led my own people to do things. But I am going to say this, and it may be controversial. People may say I'm wrong, but I stand by what I say. We cannot be very comfortable. I understand that our people are suffering. By now, everybody knows that when they have 2 grains of groundnut, they have to keep some and eat some. That this ban can be called at any time. But my plea to our people is that when you're calling this ban, make sure you give our people time, notify them that a ban is coming up so that people prepare themselves. Because some people, it's not that they want, and I mean, just to go and harvest their crop from the farm so that they are in their house, they have something to eat. That's okay. But and it should be targeted. It should be because there is a plan that makes sense, that when it is carried out, people will say, yes, it was worth the trouble. Now, I have talked here about this school closing thing. I want people to understand that one of the main reasons why we started this war was because of schools. What happened is that the lawyers were on strike, then the teachers joined, and the teachers' rationale was because somebody will say, oh, we are suffering children. Oh no. The teachers said, we are doing our job, but we have government schools. And if you guys remember, the Bia talked with Mo Ibrahim, and he said, we have tried to assimilate the people. This is part of the plan. So when we listen to something, we cannot take it in isolation. You have to look at it, what this thing means. They are sending French teachers to come and teach our children. You bring somebody who does not know English, he's coming to teach math, he's coming to teach history, he's coming to teach geography or biology. How are these children supposed to understand? But this is what they have done through the years. For the longest time, it's only a few years ago that we have English universities. We only had French universities, and our children would finish secondary school, high school, and go to Yaoundé. And so many children failed. Many people went out of the country. It's because they were teaching us in French. The universities were in French. They are trying to assimilate us. They want us, they don't have those bilingual schools in their side. They have the bilingual schools on our side because they want to assimilate us. But the thing is this, we are saying, let us have our children go to school as long as it is not in the bilingual schools. Because La Republique has a hold on those bilingual schools. When we started this problem, there are some French teachers who came out and said, I was transferred to Bamenda or to Manfe or whatever, and I went to the principal and I said, listen, I cannot teach here because I don't understand English. And it's a lady, and she said, I was told you get your salary, right? And you've been transferred here, you've been posted here, go and do your work. So the teachers themselves were having difficulties teaching children because they could not communicate. But now they had to force, children were laughing at them because of the literal translations that they were taking, which did not make sense to the children. So what we are saying, we have never said we don't like the curriculum. There are lots of things we don't like, but we don't have a control over that. We have built our own curriculum. We have many curriculums out there, but we cannot implement them because we do not have a board to do exams. No international organization would accept it. We don't have anybody, any board, any exams that can be accepted somewhere else. So our children are going to the schools, learning what they are teaching for now, with the hope that when we get our own country, we are going to teach we are going to use our own curriculum. But for now, we want our children to go to private schools, mission schools, and community schools. And because these schools are going to teach in a language that children understand, they are not going to be assimilated. It is that word, it is that thing that Bia said to Mo Ibrahim, which demonstrates to us that what Patterson had said was true. Patterson said we will see who owns our people, whether it's you or me or us. And yes, we have stood up to them that we want our children to be English speaking. We are English speaking. That's what our children should be. So that is the issue about school closures. We are not saying children should not go to school. We are saying they should go to school where they are not going to be brainwashed, where they are not going to be taught in French. I know that some of our children have gone over to the La Republique side, but also there are teachers or there are people who have opened schools there. And I'm hoping that as long as those are not government schools, they are private schools, they will continue to find our own teachers to teach our children so that when we come back, we would not have lost a lot. It is the government schools. It is the government schools which is our problem. I hope that makes sense. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I wanted to dive into that, because we saw a lot of families confused about school reopening and what is the meaning of the lockdown. The lockdown was
Mhm.
to make sure that they clarify about the La Republic schools that will still
Yes.
remain closed within the territory of
Mhm.
Amazonia, and that children, families, parents are allowed to send their children to those community schools and mission schools. So, Comrade Sama Thomas, what's
Yeah,
your take
let me
about that?
say
That is,
something. Hold on,
Manji,
please. Let me say something. We have to watch these private schools. We have to watch these mission schools and make sure that they are not gouging the fees. We cannot price our
yes,
parents out of educating our children. If these private schools, now you used to have 50 children, now you have 70, at least you're making money. Do not use this as an opportunity to make tons of money. If we
mhm.
see that these private schools are making too much money, are overbilling, we should come down on them. So the proprietors of these private schools should be warned. They should be warned that we have given you the opportunity to open your schools, and so make it reasonable. You should even come down on your prices because you're going to have more students now. So our ears should be on what these private schools are doing. Thank you.
Thank you. We've seen uh, that opinion about the tuition, the amount of tuition to be charged, and some community schools charge a lot of high tuition. So we are trying to gauge them on that too. Comrade Sama Thomas, what's your take about the 2 weeks lockdown and the school shutdown of the La Republic schools? What do you think about the lockdown, Comrade Sama Thomas, especially when it comes to that issue where schools were closed and La Republic government did not still understand about that? They were trying to impose their government schools, but the lockdown proved it very clear that La Republic schools have remained closed. Community schools will be open. Parents can send their children to that community schools. Comrade Sama Thomas, if you are there, or maybe you have some technical issue there. Comrade Dr. Gwambe, can you go there first?
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I was trying to ring Comrade Sama, so I missed out on your questions.
So the question was about the school reopening. Your take. Margie explained much about that, about
And that's
the
even him trying to call back now. Give me a second.
about the tuition.
Hold on.
The question was about the tuition, how we can help parents who are not really working now. There's a lot of economic crisis back home. We want schools, proprietors of schools, to please make sure that the tuition fees are not too high. uh, we are in a crisis. Most parents are not working, so we want those community schools to put their tuition down. And we're also talking about the La Public schools. They will remain closed as we speak. The 2 week lockdown was because of the government schools, so people got it wrong. So we need the restoration fighters. We need these restoration forces to explain to the communities that they are what the lockdown is. If there's any other lockdown coming up, we should have that form of collaboration, that form of communication and education of our local population. They should understand the reason for the lockdown, so that we don't get them confused. They don't know why they are locking down. They are not even prepared for the lockdown, and it keeps them wondering why they are locking down. Uh, Comrade Dr. Ngwambe, are you ready for that?
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much for that recap. And as a matter of fact, I really want to commend Magia on the way she really handled that particular question, because I mean, it the reason why we want this consultation, right, when it comes to these lockdowns, is so that if a lockdown is about to happen and you are able to make sure that it's a very focused lockdown on a specific particular issue. Once that lockdown is done, to me, it makes sense, especially if we would have had a broad-based consultation for the various organizations that are part of this liberation struggle, to after that lockdown to come and say, hey, this is what we were able to achieve because of this lockdown. And we present that to the people. By presenting that to the people about what we were able to achieve behind it, and motivate them for them to see what the solidarity shows when we're all together putting pressure on La Republic of Cameroon, it helps to motivate them to be on board again for the next lockdown, and it reduces us having to rely on, and I hate to have to say, on threat, on force, on brute force, on the fact that our liberation force are the people who have the guns. It will help us to reduce that fact. If people see the benefit in what their sacrifice is, and I recognize that we're in a war, and in a war there's going to be a lot of brutal stuff. You're not going to have time to consult people, etc., etc. But hey, Ambazonia, guess what? We are in a different type of liberation struggle that is different, very, very different from the way other liberation struggles have been conducted before. It's not as there have been situations where it was very destructive. Yes, villages were burned down, but it's still not at the same level of what we've seen in countries like Yemen and what's this other place in Syria. We are in a very unfortunately, it's a controlled war. Let me put it like that. It's a very controlled war, and because it's a controlled war, we need to manage the way we conduct it so that we keep the people on our side. So it's some of these techniques that we're going to have to employ to make sure that people are on our side as we do these things. Now, with regards to the school fees issue, it is 100% correct to say that we need to watch these private schools. And as like Maji's pointed out, and many of us have noticed, these private schools have seen an influx of students, which under normal circumstances they would not have received. And because of that, it is not, yes, there may be a certain point where they do need to increase the school fees to be able to accommodate their expenses of having to teach an additional number of students. But I hope they've also increased the wages of the teachers, right? I hope so. But once you have reached that point where it covers your operational cost and maybe gives you a moderate amount of profit, if you are gouging those parents who can afford to pay, right, that is unfair. And what I would advise the private schools for them to do is that they need to open up slots for underprivileged Ambazonians. Let the children of underprivileged Ambazonians, those parents, let them come into your school, let them put in an application listing their economic ability. I'm sure your schools have guidance counselors, principals who can review these parents' ability to pay. Maybe you can even visit some of their homes to see what they're doing, see their living conditions and all that stuff to help guide you in whether you should approve these a particular underprivileged student to be able to attend your institution for free. Because again, because we are insisting that it's only private schools and community schools that should operate, you all are receiving students who you would not have received before. So you all, as the privately owned institutions, you all need to make accommodations for the underprivileged people in our community, and there are ways you can do it, and you do it through this means testing approach that I've just outlined. So it's something that the interim government is going to be looking at, and I also encourage other organizations who are pro-independence minded to make sure that they are measuring what these private schools are doing and observing what these private schools are doing so they do not take advantage of the unfortunate situation that our people are in and that our people are not gouged. So again, private schools make accommodations for the underprivileged to be able to attend for free. You all are making a lot of money because of this particular circumstances, so you can accommodate it. So that's what we're looking at when it comes to this particular issue.
Okay, thank you, comrade. Let's talk about the EU ambassador's uh, comment and his interview. The outgoing EU ambassador who was commenting on the school reopening. Little did we know that this ambassador has never gone to what they call NOZO or Northeast, Northwest and Southwest, or what they call NOZO. This ambassador has been in La Republic. He's an EU ambassador, outgoing EU ambassador. He has been in La Republic for 2 years, but he has never gone to any of these regions. But in his latest interview, he was there trying to say that the restoration fighters and the diasporans are not allowing children to go to school. He never even know the dynamics. I want to bring Comrade Sama Thomas here. Comrade Sama Thomas, you heard the interview of the EU ambassador, the outgoing ambassador, who was very clueless. Imagine an ambassador representing EU who has to have all the information necessary to speak with conviction. He has no clue about what is going on in Ambazonia, southern Cameroon. All he was saying is that children are not going to school, but he forgot to know that children are going to community schools. And the issue is not about going to school, it's about La Republic imposition of their own system, as opposed to the Anglo-Saxon system. Comrade Thomas.
Yeah, Philip Van Dam, or they say is Philip Van what?
Yes, Van Damme.
I used to think that diplomats are historians. One of the things that causes England to leave the EU is because of people like Philip Van, illiterates that are elected into posts of responsibility by the EU to lord over technocrats. And when these technocrats are talking, or elected persons like MPs from England are talking on behalf of their people, these idiots who call themselves commissioners seated in Brussels will be running their mouth as if they know anything, but they know nothing. It's a disgrace to a body like the EU to remove a clueless guy like Philip Van Damme and send him to Yaoundé as their commissioner. Philip Van Damme is a Belgian. I believe he is coming from Wallonia, which is the French section of Belgium. And this idiot called Philip Van Damme knows it very well that in Wallonia, they do not teach and do not want to learn Flemish. That is a serious problem that is going on in Belgium. For the Flemish people do not want to learn French, and if the Wallons do not want to learn French, do not want to learn Netherlands as well, or Dutch. But this clueless idiot was running his mouth in Yaoundé. How the Southern Cameroons or the Southern Cameroons do not want to go to school, and so Southern Cameroons living abroad are blocking schools from going on without knowing the dynamics on the ground why schools are not going. Southern Cameroonians are not the people who close schools from going on. La République that appointed Spanish teachers to send to English schools who cannot even say good morning in English is to be blamed for schools not operating in the Southern Cameroons and not Southern Cameroonians. Two, this clueless guy, Philip Van Damme, talk of the African Charter, Article 4 of 1964, that was drawn in regard to the respect of boundaries after independence. The OAU then took that decision, knowing fully well that the artificial boundaries that were drawn by the West, if they are not maintained as they are, then the whole of Africa will be plunged into war. That's what they said. You must maintain your boundaries as of independence. You must not increase it. This stupid fool who called himself Philip Van Damme, did he ever make his research to find out if the Southern Cameroons was part of La Republic Cameroon at independence? Did this fool coming from Belgium who called himself Philip Van Damme make his research to find out if Belgium didn't vote for the independence of the Southern Cameroons? Because I've challenged the Belgian government to respect their vote at the floor of the United Nations for the independence of the Southern Cameroons. We've done that severally. But what is happening is that Belgium, which is part of the colonial or neo-colonial system that is going on in the Southern Cameroons, who have their own sphere of economic interest in the Southern Cameroons, they do not want to let Southern Cameroons go. That is the more reason they are showing a blind eye into the genocide that's going on in Southern Cameroons. That is why they are showing a blind eye in the fact that La Republic Cameroon is in occupation of the Southern Cameroons. That's the more reason to send idiots like this fool called Philip Van Damme to be running his mouth in Yaoundé. It's a shame to a body like the EU to send this type of a nuisance in any African country to go there, for he knows nothing. A clueless guy to be representing the EU. I wonder where they will ever keep this shame that they've put themselves into in Africa.
Thank you. I want to talk on the EU ambassador to know how Maji can respond to that. His lack of knowledge of what is going on. Also, his views about the school reopening. Maji, we see a lack of knowledge of the internal affairs and the lack of knowledge of the struggle by the part of an outgoing EU who has to have a good resume or a good knowledge of what is going on in Southern Cameroon. But he has no clue. I was just impressed with what Sama Thomas just mentioned, that he's from Belgium. And from his name, Van Damme, you can tell. We know of the famous actor Jean-Claude Van Damme. Mr. Van Damme doesn't know anything about the crisis, because from the interview you see him bubbling, and talking about his view about intervening, the EU intervening. He said the EU can only intervene if the Ambazonian and the La Republic government invite them. Mama G, you are at the forefront of most of the reconciliatory and negotiation process. What is your take? What is the role that EU can play in this crisis that they are not playing now? We saw the Swiss government try to come in for the Swiss-led negotiation, but La Republique did not show up.
Thank you, comrade, for giving me this opportunity to talk. Look, if I want to dissect everything that that man said, it will take us till tomorrow. When I heard that man, I was bubbling like I was going to die. Let me go to your question. I have explained extensively about education, but you said, let me answer the question what the EU can do. The EU, just like Comrade Sama has said, these are the people who voted for us to have our independence, that West Cameroon should be an entity of its own. Let them respect that. This guy, he talked about um, uh, boundaries during independence. Let us go there. That is all we've been asking. The boundaries at independence. We had boundaries. We still have boundary stones till today. Large ones showing where the divide is. That's all we are asking for. Can they do that for us? And the idiot says, if we had let children go to school, things would have normalized. What is there to normalize? Did we tell, excuse me, him that we want to normalize? No, we want to separate. The thing which is very annoying to me is the fact that people fail to understand that we did not go to war with La Republique. We have never gone to war. We are defending ourselves. We are in our country. We have never crossed the Mongo. We have never crossed Matasm to go and attack on that side. So when people put the blame or the onus that we have to prove, then it just shows the shallow thinking. These people, it is not for lack of knowledge, it is for benefit, it's the profit. Because as long as La Republique is there, they can blackmail La Republique and say, you have to sell us cocoa for $2 a pound. If you do not, we will separate you guys. And by blackmailing, they are getting everything they want for free. And the world is changing. Things are changing. Even poor Africa is changing. If people do not have their eyes open, then they are making a mistake, because we will no longer be ruled by them. And let me give a small explanation of our history, African history. If you see what happened, how the white man came into Africa, when they came, our people were not planting cocoa and coffee and all those cash crops. They told us we have to plant it, and it reduced the place that we were planting our cocoyam and plantains and all our own subsistence farming that we were doing. Then they asked us to make roads. They were going to help us to make roads. And those things that our people did, we did not do them because we liked. It is because they said you have to pay taxes. And what are you going to use to pay taxes? You're going to use our currency. You have to plant cocoa and sell to us. That way you can have our money to pay taxes. It is this taxes thing that we've been laden with from the beginning of time. From the first day that a white man put his foot on our land, it was how we have to pay taxes. So because of that, they make us plant cocoa, plant coffee, and now we are buying rice. When we have land, we can produce our own rice. We are buying food stuff that we can make. Even oil. We are if we planted enough groundnuts, as we call it, peanuts, groundnut, we would be making our own oil. But what do we do? No, we have to plant cocoa and coffee and whatever to sell to them so that we can get money to pay taxes. So they've been milking us since the beginning of time. And those are the things that they want. And those are the things that they will want us to continue to do. Besides our minerals, besides our timber, that they are getting for free. They are virtually getting everything for free because when they buy timber or cocoa or coffee, whatever it is that they buy, then they pay money. Our leaders take the money and put it back in banks in Europe. So the Europeans or the Americans or whoever is buying something, they get the stuff, they get the money, and we are left holding the bag. The little money that our leaders bring back into the country, they circulate it amongst the top tier members of the government. So the poor people, all of us in the bottom, are just bottom feeders. We are picking crumbs. We are picking crumbs. There's nothing for us. So I'm happy that other African countries have started having coups, or those who are not having coups, like the people in Ghana, the leaders in Kenya, they are speaking up, they're encouraging other people so that we can start using some of those cocoa. Before we send it, let's not just send cocoa beans, let's not just send coffee beans. Let us process it to some extent so that we can make money for our people to live on. So when people like this who are benefiting are talking, they are not talking because they don't know, they are talking for their country's interests. And you see, when all these international leaders or whatever the people they call themselves, when they come to our country, they do not come to our side of the country. They go to the people that La Republique has appointed. And these people, they claim that these people are our people. They have people like Agbobala, they have Eli Smith, who is not even part of us. It's just that he grew there. We have all those useless people who are advocating that we should be with La Republique. Those are the people that they go and see. Why don't they ask us to give our own people so that we can talk? Nobody has listened to us. That is why we are calling for a referendum. The referendum is going to ask us to say, give us voice. We have not had voice anywhere. They said, let's go to the Swiss talk, let's go to Canada. All those things fail, and nobody is listening to us. But it's not lack of knowledge. It is because this is how it is designed so that they can continue to benefit from us. So
Okay.
let us
Thank you.
have a referendum. Let us speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Margie. You made some very good points. The point that I want to ask Dr. Ngwambe, how can the EU ambassador, who knows that this is an international conflict, say that this conflict is an internal affair, when he knows that this conflict is between two countries? Uh, when you have an internationally led negotiation, like Switzerland came in, like Canada came in, they are international mediators. The crisis is an international crisis. It has nothing to do with La Republic internal affairs. That's why we don't care who is the next president of that damn country. We don't care who is the next leader there. We don't care. You know, they can put Frank or whoever comes there. We don't care. We have our country. We focus on our country. And the EU ambassador was saying that this is an internal conflict. Comrade Gwambe.
Maji, thank you so much for expressing this the way that it is. Look, it is because of the Europeans, right? This is this is not even a hidden something that's hidden. It is because of the Europeans that Africa in particular is the way that it is. Because of the borders that they came in, they set up dividing kingdom was supposed to be together. This EU, former outgoing EU ambassador to French Cameroon from Belgium, of all places, he needs to have several seats because the atrocities that Belgium committed in the Democratic Republic of Congo, we have not forgotten it. We have definitely not forgotten it. So we know the game that they're playing. We definitely know the game that they're playing, and that's why I'm very glad that our people back home, they're not taking anymore. We're being educated. Media platforms like this, we're not taking it. You understand? So, like Maji said, I want to build on what Maji said. Ambazonians, my fellow Ambazonians, they've never listened to us. For those of us who know the history, I have the Fona Bafut's book sitting on my desk. And inside that book, the current Fona Bafut, His Royal Highness Fona Bumbi II, his father, for Achirimbi II, he wrote that in a book that when he, as the head of the Council of Chairs and Funds, right? The people of Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia turned away from Endele because Endele was trying to take us to Nigeria. If Foncha is trying to take us to La Republic of Cameroon, the people of Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia are going to turn away from Foncha also. That was the mind of the Ambazonian people back then. But guess what? Unfortunately, the leaders who were then at that time, they didn't stand their grounds. So we have never, at the international, they unfortunately have not listened to us. Now it's coming around to an opportunity where the people of Ambazonia are speaking again. And we are demanding, and we're not going to take no for an answer, and we are expecting that they are going to listen to us. How this Mr. EU ambassador, Mr. Philip Van Dam, how the hell did you all think that you can mix a democracy, a parliamentary democracy with a dictatorship? My fellow Ambazonians, Southern Cameroon Ambazonia was a parliamentary democracy with a PM, peaceful alternation of power. They mixed us with the freaking dictatorship. How the hell was that going to work? Go to the EU that this man is from. Can the European Union admit countries to be members of the European Union that are not democracies? I was just going through it while Maji was talking, trying to make sure that I'm speaking because I know that I want to make sure I'm speaking as a fact. I don't think there's any country that is part of the European Union that is not a democracy. That means the members of the EU know themselves that you cannot mix a dictatorship with a democracy. But that's what they did to us. And then you come and he'll sit there and be pontificating to us and talking all this uninformed stuff. But then we know why they're doing it. Because they know what they are benefiting from keeping Paul Biya in power for him to do. They know it. That's why they can't speak the truth about it. But the sad thing about this whole situation is that Mr. EU ambassador and to the European community and everywhere else, just because Ambazonia gains independence, that does not mean we are not going to do business with you. I don't know what you all are afraid of. Just because I'm going to repeat it, just because we as Ambazonia, we have a country for ourselves that is led by us, a democracy. Just because we have our own country does not mean we are not going to trade with you. It does not mean that we are not going to find ways where we are going to benefit and then from some of the things that you are doing, and you all are going to benefit from some of the things that we're doing. All we want is just our fair share of the pie so that our people do not have to continue to flee to your countries and die into the Mediterranean Sea when you all don't even want us to come to your countries.
Yeah,
that's even the messed up thing about this whole situation, is that you all are screwing up our continent, keeping dictators in power who aren't helping us, and then behind the scenes you laugh at us and say, is there ever any African country that can manage itself? But of course, when you're keeping leaders in power who don't do anything good for us, why will our people not flee there? Why will we not have bad governance? This new generation of Africa is trying to fix a country, a continent, and a country so that we as African people, we can be proud of ourselves, so that the African diaspora that is scattered all around the world that was taken into slave ship, they can be proud to say that they have this African ancestry. But Mr. Ambassador, you have completely misunderstood this thing, and you purposefully misunderstood it. I know you purposefully misunderstood it because you want to misrepresent what this liberation struggle is about. This liberation struggle is about the people of Ambazonia having the country that we were supposed to have. And you know what? Left to you Europeans, many of the countries in the world, especially in Africa, would not even have had their independence. And that's one of the things why I really have to thank the United States of America, starting off with some of the principles and policies that Woodrow Wilson was thinking about, and even Franklin Delano Roosevelt were thinking about when they insisted that you Europeans let go of all these territories that you all had set up and were impoverishing, and you were killing people. That's one of the, as much as the United States has its faults, I am forever grateful to this country because it is because of them that we ended up having independent countries in Africa that were not under the subjugation of the Europeans, even though France still left its tentacles deep inside of our country. And this, because of the United States, I'm even still glad that the United States of America is managing this situation in Niger the way that they are. And they're not getting themselves mixed up in the bad reputation that France has developed for itself in Niger. I'm really proud of America for that. And I continue to hope that they continue to manage it the way that it, because France, the fact that the US let France in particular manage Western policy in Africa is the biggest reason why there's this anti-West, specifically anti-French spirit in Africa right now. And all Ambazonians and all Africans want is for us to be able to be productive, bring prosperity to our people, have accountable governance, have respect for human rights, peaceful alternation of power. All these things that our people are fleeing to your countries to come and enjoy, we want them in our own country. And we are going to have them in our own countries. There's nothing people like this ambassador can do about it. We are going to have it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can I make a point, please?
Yes. Let me get to Sama Thomas, then I'll come back to Maji, because I want him to give his own take about this EU ambassador, then to know what he thinks about these EU ambassadors' attempt to say the Grand National Dialogue brought something, and it gave the people of Ambazonia what we call a special status. And he said that the Grand National Dialogue is what they are trying to see how it can help the people of Southern Cameroon to get what they are looking for. But I want to talk to Sama Thomas. What really came out of that their Grand National Dialogue that had nothing to bear for? We know that the Grand National Dialogue failed. So why is the ambassador still mentioning Grand National Dialogue that has nothing, that has bear no fruit, it has no impact, and nothing that came out from it? Comrade Sama Thomas.
For Mr. Jean-Claude Van Damme, or essentially is Philip Van Damme of Belgium, citing La Republique so-called Grand National Dialogue. That was a clear pointer that the Grand National Dialogue was imposed on La Republique by France. That is why in about 10 years ago, if I'm mistaken, we went to the EU, and the very first thing they did to us there was that they removed Owona's constitution and placed on the floor. But this Cameroon's constitution, I almost hit my head on the stone on that day in the EU. I asked the lady who received us then. I asked her, Madam, what is written in that paper? He said, who is the author of that paper? He said, the Owona's constitution. I asked her, this lady too was a Belgian. I asked her, can a single person single-handedly make a constitution for Belgium? He couldn't. And so these guys, they have an agenda which is being imposed on them by France. So that is their position, that they keep on magnifying it to say that the Grand National Dialogue was there for France, discuss it within the EU, and say let us give La Republique Cameroon the Grand National Dialogue, and say that's how we feel the situation can be resolved. So if you go to all of them, they will be talking about Grand National Dialogue, for that is what they discuss within the floor of the EU and give to La Republique, that this is what you have to give to them as a window dressing, as a solution to the situation. But they fail to understand that Southern Cameroonians and the African man today is not still that person that will sit and things are imposed on them from Europe or any other African country, like they are trying to do with ECOWAS to impose on Niger and other African countries that have taken their position that they will not want to be playing the second fiddle from these idiots in the West, and the Southern Cameroon people will not take this nonsense coming from the European Union and France with idiots and fools like Philip Van Damme. Two,
Thank you.
Southern
Okay.
Cameroonians and Africans in general must never think that these red idiots who call themselves white people are intelligent than them. We are living amongst them and we know how primitive these guys are. We in Africa, we are more intelligent, we have human feelings than these animals in Europe who are imposing their own type of human right to us, of which they themselves do not respect human right or rules and regulations. For had it been these people who were respecting human right and rules and regulations, a fool like Philip Van Damme would not be saying that the special status given to the people of Southern Cameroon was the best thing that the European Union can support. As if the people of Flanders give Wallonia a special status in Belgium, this fool will accept it.
Thank you. Margie, before you answer, you answer your question, I want you to link it up with this former ambassador of USA to Africa, Tibor Nagy, Ambassador Tibor Nagy. He made a very brilliant comment and a message to La Republique about pacification, and that attempt to create and maintain peace uh, in Cameroon. And he said that La Republique cannot win this war militarily. He made that very clear. And he
Mhm,
said that bullets have not proven to be killing any people. Okay, that the
mhm.
will of the people is more stronger than the bullet. The barrel of the gun is not stronger than the will of the people of Ambazonia. I think La Republique have heard that message. Margie, go ahead.
Thank you. That is exactly why we are calling for a referendum. We are asking that this war has been going on and nobody knows what we think. This the grand dialogue that La Republic had, they had it among themselves with a fringe set of people who went there. These are people who buy into what they are saying, who are benefiting from it, from La Republique. Those are the people who went there. We didn't go for this special status or the grand dialogue. So, what do we care about what the grand dialogue is saying, what they said? Because it's meaningless. So, we are asking that we want a referendum because every time that somebody calls, like the Swiss led talks or whatever, the Canadian talk, a republic does not want to go because they don't want to sit across from us on the table so that we can air our own views. We want the opportunity to sit on the table and talk. Okay, now that La Republique would not sit with us because they say we are part of them, now we want to prove, and the La Republique says it's a small group of people who are causing problems. Let's put it to the people. Let us ask our people. It's not going to be us, um, the people who they say we are the ones causing the trouble because we are in the diaspora. We are not the ones fighting on the ground. If we were the one causing the problems, those people on the ground would have noticed it for 7 years now that this war has been going on. They would have said, no, we are not going to be killed to satisfy those who are in the diaspora. And so, the point I wanted to make is the fact that this suffering by our people has been going on for donkey years. Like I said when I talked about education, as children were going to school, through high school, then going to the lone university where they were trying to assimilate them. That bottleneck that they created, they thought that they did us a disservice. It has proven to be of benefit to us because so many of our children went abroad, went and had education in other African countries, went to Europe and America, and we see when you go to school, they're teaching you things. You say, when am I ever going to use this? But this is history. You see how Napoleon Bonaparte was beating country after country. Every country that he beat, he taught them something. He said, "This is how to fight. This is." And when it was time that all these people rallied against him, against France, and against Napoleon, they used the techniques that Napoleon had taught them. So I'm saying this to say that because they maltreated us, wouldn't give us the opportunity to have our own universities. Our students are out here, our children are out, we are out here. We have gotten superior knowledge, education, and all that, that we can implement it in our country. Should we have our independence today, it's not going to take us long to stand on our feet because we have people educated in every field imaginable. The people who went to school in other African countries, the people who went to school in Europe and Asia and wherever, they have studied not only the book sense, but they've looked at the culture. They are going to pick what is good in those places and bring home. So the day we will land on our feet, everybody watch out. We will be flying to the moon. Thank you.
Thank you, Maji. Dr. Ngwambe, your take on the EU and mix. I want to put them together to see how one is clueless and one is very intelligent. They both former ambassadors. One is the ambassador to the EU, and the other one is ambassador for America. Both Timonagi and Van Damme. Both of them gave their comments about the crisis. But if you see what the former ambassador of USA to Africa, Timonagi, said, is very, very striking that he understands the crisis. He said, La Republique cannot win this crisis militarily. He said, this crisis can only be won through peaceful negotiation. And that is what he said. And he said, the bullets and scorched earth policy of La Republique can never kill the determination, okay, that devotion, that mindset of the people of Ambazonia. What do you think about that, Dr. Ngwambe?
So you have to understand where the American mindset comes from the European mindset, and especially the Belgian mindset. Americans are open-minded people, free-spirited people who think out of the box, people who their history, the history of their nation, right, is born of struggle. And that's what makes this country so great. That's what makes them so proud, because they came from a situation where they were under the tyranny, and this is stuff that they teach us in school, right? Learn the history and everything, all the movies and everything. They came under the tyranny of King George, I believe, at the time of England. They were being taxed without representation, all the money and resources. Keep in mind, the 13 colonies that originally made up this great country were colonies, just like what our African states are now, like this. And all the revenue, a majority of the revenue and money that generated in the 13 colonies was going back to go and sustain England. My fellow Amazonians, that sounds familiar, right? That's exactly what we're going through because of La République du Cameroon, where our economic activities, which is supposed to be benefiting us, instead of it helping to improve the prosperity of our community, increase the living standards of our people, improving the education of our children so that they can compete in this very competitive international educated world. All that money is going to La Republique, and then from La Republique, it's going to France. The U.S. has this same shared history with Ambazonia. So when you see Americans speaking this, especially this, our brother Ambassador Thibault Nagy speaking the way it is because they have a shared struggle with us. Now, mind you, the U.S. government is going to do what it's going to do that is in line with its interest. And for me, if I were advising the American government right now, I would tell them that, hey, your interests are they're being threatened in Africa because France has done a lot of mischief in African countries that is turning away African people from democracy in particular and from certain Western ideals about accountable governance, a good sound education, infrastructure development, jobs, all that kind of stuff like that. And because France is helping to threaten American interests because of the poor way that they have done a lot of things in Africa, the United States has to be very smart and conscientious about some of the decisions that it's making in Africa to make sure that it aligns its policies with those that help to improve the lives of the common African. America has to stand on the side of justice for Africans against the imperialistic tendencies of some of this mischief that Europe has been doing to our continent for a long, long time. If America fails to do that, if America is not smart and subtle about the way they do it, if America is not care about finding a way to stand on the side of freedom for African people, America is going to lose Africa to the West. I mean, it's going to lose Africa to China in particular and to Russia and other places. So they better be smart about it. And that's why I have to appreciate Ambassador Thibault Nagy, because he appears to be one of those people who understands that, coming from the history of this country and also coming from the shared struggle of his ancestry, because he's also talked about he's from Hungary, and Hungary was under a brutal dictatorship. So he understands how dictatorship underdevelops a country. So that's why he's able to speak the way he's able to speak, as opposed to this guy from Belgium who his country murdered 10 million Africans in Zaire, or Democratic Republic of Congo, chopped off people's limbs, forced a huge landmass like the Democratic Republic of Congo to exist as a nation that cannot really function at that size. The Democratic Republic of Congo should actually be a lot smaller than it is, and maybe they would be able to manage their affairs a lot better. But because of the mischief of the Europeans and the mischief of Belgium in particular, that's why it is. And when you look at, that's why I say, and coming back to what you were pointing out, SOS Minds, you look at where the United States is coming from, and you look at where the Belgium and the Europeans are coming from, and then you automatically understand why the Americans are able to talk the way they're able to talk, even though they still do things in their interest, which is their right to do. If you have your country, you need to do things in the interest of your country, but that's what they're doing. That shared struggle, and they're recognizing that France has messed up the interest of America on the African continent.
I want Honorable to answer this one. La Republic still think that they can win this war militarily. For 7 years, they are still trying to check on the wisdom of the Ambazonia people. I don't understand how they think that they can win something that they have been struggling for 7 years. Comrade Sama Thomas, you know better that even they give us 20 years, La Republic will never win this war. Why don't they just go to negotiation? What is the problem? They left the Swiss-led negotiation. They left the Canada negotiation. They left. They had a fraudulent grand national dialogue, and that's what Ambassador Thibault Nagy is saying.
Comrade Fred, there is something that we haven't let La Republique understand about the civil war that was ravaging La Republique as from 1950 up to 1970. That is the only civil war in Africa that an African or Africans use their own will to quell it down, and not the white man. And it was a Southern Cameroonian man that removed the Bassas the Basas and the Betis and the Bamilikis from the bush. That brothers, you guys should come out and let us sit on the table and talk. That is the only war in Africa that was resolved by Africans themselves. But La Republique fully pushed us back into the bush. We will fight our way out, for there is nobody that is ready to negotiate between us and them. We will fight our way out of this quagmire. If they are dreaming that we ever get anything without Southern Cameroon not being free, then it's a terrible dream. They should get out of that dream and think well before they continue. For we will get what we want. And the day we get what we want, where they were in 1950 up to 1970, we will push them back into that same point. And France will love it. For France will use it for them to keep on fighting while France is exploiting them. La Republic should be very, very careful, for Southern Cameroons will no longer be there again to mediate amongst them, but we will fan the war. We will add petrol into the burning funnel for the whole place to explode. But like you've asked, what do you think they will achieve? The guns that we are buying, we do not have any country that is supplying us with guns. We are using any means possible to get what we want, and we are getting it. We are using, our boys on the ground are inventing things by themselves to use against La Republic. They should be very, very careful. For yesterday, we were using gas bottles for explosives. Today, we are no longer using gas bottles. Yesterday, all the bullets that we're using were imported. Today, we are no longer importing. La Republic should be very, very careful, for I've told them that the more they keep on dilly-dallying, rocket launchers will one day be produced in ground zero. We will not buy, for there is no way for us to buy from elsewhere. We will produce those things. And once we started producing those things, La Republic, we will not only drive them out to Southern Cameroon, but we will help them like the West did to occupy part of Iraq and make it a security zone for Kuwait. We will occupy part of La Republic to make it our security zone. La Republic should be on the watch for what is awaiting them is not what they are thinking of today, but they should get up from their sleep. I hear.
Mama G, I want you to contrast this issue of human rights. The ambassador of EU said that there's a human right violation for not letting children to go to school. Why Thibaut Nagy is saying that La Republic is committing scorched earth policy on the Ambazonian people. I want us to compare both human rights violations. The La Republic military are committing heinous crimes in Amazonia, as compared to what the EU ambassador is saying, compared to what our US ambassador is saying. Both of them are in contrast. Scorched earth policy versus not allowing children to go to school. Which one to you is real human rights violation when it comes to the 7 years of this crisis, when they have killed 50,000 people? We have thousands of refugees in refugee camps in Nigeria. We have thousands of our people in dungeons in La Republic. Which one is violations of human rights? Mama G.
By saying that, telling this EU guy that he should take note of the fact that we have never crossed the Mungo. We have never crossed Matazo. When somebody comes to your house to attack you, that already means that person is violating your own human right. That alone, without any other explanation, it suffices for anybody who has any brain cells. When this war started, when La Republique said they were going to crush us in 2 weeks, we did not have even, I don't even know what the least kind of ammunition that you can think of. We are
No, they say
people
we
are
were
so
2 cubes of sugar.
peaceful. Yeah,
Yes,
they call us 2 cubes of sugar,
two
which
cubes
will
of
just
sugar.
dissolve.
Right.
That 2 cubes of sugar, let me tell you, I was going to come to that. That 2 cubes of sugar is the thing that they started burning villages. The reason they were burning those villages is so that they can send their own people to infiltrate, to take over, so that when they have merged with us, we are not going to have anywhere ever again to revolt against them. So the whole idea was to burn and burn and burn villages and bring people from La Republique, especially Bamileke people who want land. The Bamileke people keep their own land for posterity, but they want to claim land all over, from north to south, east to west. They want to claim it. And that is the idea. They were going to burn us out, and especially then, when this war started, they were going through Manu because they knew that Manu is closer to Nigeria. The deal in Manu told the people there that he's giving them time for 16 villages, people in 16 villages to evacuate, or else what will happen to them will be terrible. I want to say that I thank that man, as much as I'm mad at it, because 16 villages are the ones that had been earmarked for La Republique to take over, that they were going to put their people there. So I want to thank him for giving all our people the heads up for us to leave. And that's why so many people went to Nigeria. Now, this way of doing things is to take over, assimilate, as they say. And listen, let me link this to what that guy said, that the governor of the northern zone is a Bamileke. He's just across the street.
Right.
Who cares whether he's really sitting at Matasm? We don't care. He's from another country. He's from
Yeah, right.
another country. We don't want him. He has come there for his own good and for the good of his people. And while then, all the schools, they have a lot of francophones coming there to come and benefit, to come and study English. This part, Sama, who is on the air with us today, if he did not stand up and tell the people in Mendankwe to take over Mendankwe, Mendankwe, Bamileke people were going to put a chief in Mendankwe.
Exactly. Yes.
Sama warned and warned and warned and talked about it over and over and over. We have to be saying these things and say so that we are not telling lies. The land that the government had kept, that this is the land that government offices would expand to, government residences would expand to, it's all been sold. So of what value is this Bamileke man to us? That he's saying the man does not stay, his whole family is on the Bamileke side. He goes to that side, he stays there, and then after the weekend, when they say the ghost town is over, that's when he comes. He hardly works. He's not in Bamenda. He's in his place. So why are we going to celebrate? This is the thing. These people come, they sit in Yaoundé, and whatever they are told, they carry it and start talking, start propagating. They do not know what is happening. They do not, Van Dam does not know what is happening. He just hears that there's a francophone. And the worst thing, he's saying that the EU has given money for reconstruction. What are they reconstructing? So you're telling
What
us
are they
we've been taken
reconstructing?
over. We should just give up. I mean,
That
you
guy is
don't
a clown.
even listen to us. You don't know our problem. You're giving money for reconstruction. Is the war over? Is the war? It's just window dressing. This whole thing.
Window
When you
dressing, right?
start looking at what that man is saying, like I told you, I can talk from today till tomorrow. If I begin to pick those topics one by one, the man is stupid.
Thank you, Dr. Ngwabe. I think you have seen the flyer about the seminar on a referendum in conflict and peace processes. That issue of referendum has now started echoing the hearts and minds of the international community, and we have been saying that another way to resolve this crisis is through a referendum. And some people say no, they don't want referendum. They say referendum means that we have lose the war, but we are still prolonging the crisis. But we'll see now. There's a seminar on the going out for the international community that referendums. That's the title of the seminar. Referendums in conflicts and peace processes. It will take place on Tuesday, the 26th. So I think this is a good seminar to attend. And now many who favor an independent Ambazonia are trying to see that a referendum can be a best way to solve the problem. Okay. Now, Dr. Ngwambe, what do you think about this issue of referendum? Do you think La Republique can still uh, bow to it, or it will concern more of the international community to come in and bring in a buffer zone, the United Nations peacekeepers to come in?
Ooh, that's a good question. I mean, I guess I don't really. So La Republic of Cameroon, they're going to eventually have to accept a referendum because they're not just going to get away with killing people until thy kingdom come. And you're not going to break the Ambazonian spirit. We are 100% committed to delivering ourselves from the hell that we've been under. And La Republique of Cameroon has shot itself in the foot twice, starting with the Swiss process and then with these Canada pre-talks, because they've used these initiatives as ways to placate the international community into thinking that they are a reliable partner for peace. I mean, that's what I'll say. La Republic has used the Swiss process and the Canada pre-talks as a way to fool the international community that to thinking that yes, oh, these guys in French Cameroon, they're reliable partners for peace, so let's just give them a chance. You know what we say in America, right? You get 3 strikes and you're out. La Republic is on a second strike.
You lose the points.
La Republic of Cameroon is on a second strike. We say 3 strikes and you're out. La Republic is on a second strike. So because of this funny business that La Republic of Cameroon is going to do, and because of the resilience of the Ambazonian people, we're not giving up. Our brothers back home are putting up a hell of a good fight. And because God is on our side and our ancestors on our side, because of the truths that we are fighting for, we are eventually going to get what we want. Yeah. Ambazonians, we're going to eventually get what we want.
Yeah.
La Republique of Cameroon is going to end up having to accept this referendum. And the main reason why this referendum is going to end up coming to play is for the simple fact that the international community is going to want to be sure that the Ambazonian people really want this independence.
Yeah.
Yes, we are saying it with our mouths. Yes, we are saying it with our money. Yes, we are saying it with the blood that is being shed by the average Ambazonian and plus our heroes. But they still, that's in a way that is anecdotal information, right? It's anecdotal. And yes, we even have the surveys that have happened, and we even had a referendum that our brothers of, I think, SCAPO and SCNC, they did back in the day. Yes, we have all that data, but a referendum is going to be needed for the international community to be 100% sure that the Ambazonia is number one, and number two, that the Ambazonian people are willing to accept the government that is going to come into play to govern this territory. That's what this exclusive internationally supervised referendum is going to do. That's what it's done in the history of other nations that have gained their independence. I don't see why it's not going to do the same thing for us. So, my fellow Ambazonians, make sure you sign up for this referendum. And I really want to thank Comrade Chris for helping to facilitate this particular meeting to discuss it. You know, it's everyone who has seen this flyer going around, seen the link going around. The history of Ambazonia is going to be governed by those who participate. Do not be someone who is standing by. Make sure you participate. Make sure you, if you've seen this flyer going around, sign up for it. It's very, very easy to sign up to be able to attend this particular conversation. So if you've seen it, sign up for it, attend, listen, be informed, because an educated Ambazonia, an informed Ambazonian is someone who makes good decisions. So make sure you attend this particular event, and we're on, as it is, we're on our way, and we're going to get there. That's what I see going on with this particular topic, from history in particular, not far off history, recent history in my lifetime and in your lifetime, Comrade Fritz. Nobody now one for people that wait on that. Now, current people that don't benefit from it. Current people.
Right. Thank you. I want to ask Comrade Sama Thomas, because La Republic has lost credibility. I heard you mention about credibility. There is no credibility there no more. They also lost in the two conferences that two negotiation process from Switzerland to Canada. They also lost credibility there. They have also lost credibility in the failed Grand National Dialogue. And now we are trying to look now at the possibility of a referendum. But what do you say to some critics who say referendum would mean that we have lost the war, and that we are now buying now to some sort of federalism? But when you see at all the survey that was carried out by Christian Karinatumi, survey that was also carried by the CND, Coalition for Dialogue and Negotiation, what do you think this means for Ambazonians? A referendum that the people on the ground, the people in the diaspora, have the right to decide on their own future. Comrade Sama Thomas.
What La Republique doesn't want to hear of in the Southern Cameroons at this present moment is an internationally supervised referendum in the Southern Cameroons. Reason being that La Republique knows that once a referendum is organized in Southern Cameroons, it is going to be a question of 99.99% yes vote for the independence of the Southern Cameroons. Why La Republique is pulling her legs with all these negotiation processes is because they want to buy time to defeat the people of the Southern Cameroons militarily on the field. But they fail. The international community, I hope and believe, that the Republic has failed 1, 2, 3 times or 4, because the African Commission on Peoples and Human Rights in 2009 asked La Republique to, after their verdict, asked La Republique to constitute a team of negotiators to meet the SCNC to negotiate this particular issue, which they gave La Republique 3 months to constitute their team of negotiators. They said yes, they will do it. After 3 months, uh, they applied for an extension of time for 3 months again, making it 6 months. They gave them that time. Up till today, La Republique haven't considered that team of negotiators. So it is now the fourth initiative that the International Commission has put in place to see if La Republique can sit on the table with the people of the Southern Cameroons to negotiate anything. But they fail. So what the international community should do, and I hope they're going to do it now, is that they've given you the chance or the opportunity to sit and talk with these people refuse. So we are taking our own decision, which is not forcing you to do this or this one to do this, but let us go in between and create a situation that will be a win-win situation for the both parties. The guns should die while we supervise an international organized referendum in Southern Cameroon to sample the wishes of the people of the Southern Cameroon. It shouldn't be a question put by the international community to La Republic, but it should be an imposition by the international community to La Republic. For if it is a question put to La Republic of Cameroon, I bet you La Republic will never accept it.
Margie, uh, can you conclude, because of time, can you conclude by what we have discussed all about, and what do you have to say to Ambazonians, Margie, as we conclude?
Okay. Thank you very much. I want to thank everybody who has been watching and listening to us. I hope that you'll give us feedback and tell us where we are doing wrong or what we are saying which is right. We are still in this fight. I want to thank everybody who is uh, fighting on the ground, those who are contributing here in whichever way, whether it's just to give the women water to drink or something. We are here fighting for our lives, for our future. I'm sorry that some children are not going to school because of the high school fees, but we have asked the proprietors of these schools to make it where our children can pay, our parents can pay. We have talked a lot about the relationship with the international community. The international community has to realize that this is a new day. It's a new day. You see what is happening in other African countries. I understand fully well that when they keep people like Biya in power, he's virtually giving them everything for free. But that is not going to last. I know that you're afraid that when we come, we are going to go toe to toe with you and sell at market price. It is better at this time for you to be friends with us. Let us come to an agreement. Let us sell our things so that at least you can get something. Because when the time comes, we will look at those people who were favorable to us. I'm telling our friends, our own Ambazonians, and all Africans that you should be ready. The tide is changing. Lots of African countries are taking matters in their own hands. It means things are changing. We will get to the point where we will have control over our own things, our own resources. And I'm telling you that where our people think we are enjoying here, we will be here on the hot seat because things are going to be expensive that we will not be able to afford. And that's when we will run to our own countries and open our own countries and invite the world and build it for us, for our children. We are going to make it a good country because, like I said, we have so many educated people because we've been wronged for so long. And all our people, so many of our people have come and gotten so much knowledge that when the time comes for us to go back, we will not just be crawling, we will spring. So I want to thank all these boys who are fighting on the ground. Please, my dear children, be careful. Take care of yourselves. Your victory is our victory. We know who you are. You don't have to come and show your face. You don't have to come and show yourself to the enemy. And those people who are in Kondengi and Boya in the DDR, please, if you have decided to run to go and hide, sit there and hide and be quiet. Let us do the work that we believe in. If you do not believe, we believe. Let us work for victory. When we work for victory, when victory is had, you will come back and we will all join hands and dance kumbaya. Thank you, everybody, for listening to us.
Comrade Sama Thomas.
Yeah, Comrade, like I've said, in line with what Mama G is saying, I am pleading with our brothers in prison that please, you guys should be there quiet, waiting for the day that we will liberate the land and liberate you all. But if you people think that you can mingle into the affairs of what we are doing out here, knowing fully well that in your actions you are exposing our fighters to danger, you are not only exposing our fighters to danger, you are also exposing yourselves to remain in perpetual captivity. So please get your hands off our fighters on the ground. And also to our fighters on the ground, please do not be in communication with anybody behind bars. It will be good you are anonymous and survive than to expose yourself out there and be killed like many others have been killed. Stay safe, for it will be good that you fight and enjoy the fruits of labor than fighting today, dying today. When the moment of enjoyment comes, you are no longer there. I say thank you for all of us back home who are doing a wonderful job for all of us. One day we will meet in Boy.
Dr. Ngwambe?
Yeah, bro. So let me first start off by extending my condolences to the family of FM Bitakola. We the Amazonian people, we are forever indebted, right? We are forever indebted to the ultimate sacrifices paid by our brothers on the battlefield, our brothers like FM Bitakola, Field Marshal the King, all of them, you all, it is because of you, right? It's because of you that we are able to have a country of our own. So I really want to make sure that they know, all these families know, especially the family of FM Bitakola and even the fighters who he was working with that he's left behind, that we of the interim government, we extend our condolences to you on this great loss to the entire Ambazonia nations, and that we stand with you with one spirit, right? I also want to make sure I thank you, my brother Fritz, for inviting me onto your program today. And I want to thank the ABS TV production staff, for being able to host the show, for having us on the show. I in particular want to thank my senior most comrades, that's Maji and Gyasama Thomas, for this very informative conversation that we've had today. Without without them, all of you, the program would not have been interesting, not one bit, and I would not have learned something. My fellow Ambazonians, the French, right? France has taught us a bitter lesson. That first lesson, right, is that French and English do not mix in the same country. They do not. Second lesson, democracies and dictatorships do not mix. The final lesson that I believe the French have also taught us comes from their famous general, Emperor Napoleon Bonaparte, who said the first virtue in a soldier is endurance of fatigue. Courage is only the second virtue. What does that mean? Stay committed. Stay focused. Do not give up. Amazonians, we are not giving up. And because we're not giving up, all this courage that we have is just a secondary issue. And that's why we're going to succeed. Again, Emperor Napoleon Bonaparte of France said the first virtue in a soldier is endurance of fatigue. Courage is second. So my people, stay strong. We're together. We are on our way to making it, and we are going to have our country. God bless you all and have a good night.
Thank you, everybody. Please, as a reminder, I just want to remind you that we are informing all our followers on ABS to be on high alert, because this guy called Nkunda Titus is famous, aka My Country People, has just created his own ABS Facebook page. Okay, so this is a disclaimer of this famous enabler. You have copied the Facebook page of ABS TV. So please, if you come across this, please know that it's not our page. We have this page that you're watching now on Facebook. This is our page. Any other page you see, it's not our page. It's done by that crazy guy they call Kunda Titus, alias my country people. Okay, so we are trying to inform you. Please, if you are navigating the internet, don't interact with anything that is fake on Facebook page. Okay, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We have talked about different issues. We talk about the 1st of October march, please. Our Independence Day march. Don't forget, it is a global march this time. This has nothing to do only with America. People in America are rallying in Washington, D.C. Those in Europe, please have rallies in your various countries. Okay, it is very, very crucial for this year's special 1st of October march. We also talk about the protests in Kumba Urban Council, where they have not paid the workers for 9 months. Ladies and gentlemen, the mayors and the SDOs there, they are enjoying fat, but they cannot pay workers for 9 months now. Imagine. Corruption is still continuing in that country. We also talk about the sad pass away of the famous General Bitakola. May his soul rest in peace. We're also passing this condolence to the family of the bereaved. Please rest in peace, Bitakola. We will always remember you. We also talk about the lockdown of the urban transport, lockdown of the urban transportation. About 7 of them has been banned by the restoration forces. We are trying to call on that. This ban also impact the local population. So we should have some coordination and collaboration between the restoration forces and the interim government and the various groups, so that we have a proper coordination when it comes to lockdown. And they should try to sensitize the local population about the lockdown, the reason for the lockdown. Okay, that helps to tell them that this is why we are locking down. This is the benefit of this lockdown and how they can manage it and prepare ahead of time. We also talk about the EU ambassador's comment, and also the former US ambassador comment about the purpose that La Republic want to win this war militarily will not work. Okay, and how he's telling them that the Scotch policy has not worked for 7 years and it will not work now. La Republic must go back to the negotiation table, that they have run away from Switzerland, they have run away from Canada. That was a message that the former US ambassador Thibault Nage was passing to La Republic. And finally, we talk about referendum seminar coming up. This seminar is organized, it's not organized by the interim government, it's not organized by any group, it's organized by the US institutions. They're trying to see if referendum in conflict and peace processes can help solve this crisis between the people of Ambazonia and La Republique. Okay, the seminar is on Tuesday. Please register and let's help and see how we can give our own take in this seminar. It's a very important seminar because referendum might be another solution for the crisis. Ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow we have a special show by Comrade Chris. Don't forget, tomorrow, very, very special show. And I want to thank our panelists, Honorable SOS Maji and SOS Under Secretary Dr. Ngwambe, and Honorable Thomas. Always happy to invite you guys, because you guys are always insightful. Thank you for coming. Please, next week, see you on the show. Face the People. This is your host, Comrade Fritz Misodi. Thank you very much.